What's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here with my friends at Guitarcenter, and I'm about to show you the 9 must-have pieces of gear, and it's for 3 different levels of playing. I'm going to show you 3 must-haves for beginners, 3 for intermediate, and 3 for advanced. Let's check it out. So I've been teaching guitar for over 30 years, and the last 18 years I've been making YouTube guitar lessons. I've made thousands of them, have billions of views, and I've helped a lot of people learn guitar. Now, it's based on the fact that when I first tried to learn guitar, I was 13 years old, and I went into a music shop, and the guitar teacher just didn't, have any interest in what excited me. He just started teaching me right out of the guitar book, Mary Had a Little Lamb and Hot Cross Buns. And so I thought guitar wasn't for me. It was 5 years later when some of my high school buddies started to show me some stuff in just like a fun, friendly way. And all of a sudden I was having a blast instantly because they were showing me stuff I wanted to learn right away. So my whole goal when I started teaching was to teach the way I wish someone would have taught me the very first time, which is inspiring them, getting to know what they want to play. Because if you're inspired and having fun, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like practice. And you'll tend to play and actually learn the instrument. It's all about being inspired. We live in a kind of instant gratification world. And so the one thing I've seen that's the biggest deterrent is people just wanting that instant gratification, being able to play some really challenging song right away, as opposed to building your fundamentals and still having fun with it, but knowing the proper level of things to learn to keep stacking your skills. Having the right gear is really important, because if you have a guitar, let's say, where the action's too high or the intonation's not good, no matter how much you play on it, it's not going to sound good. Now, when it comes to pedals and amps and gear like that, if it's a really nice amp, it's going to sound better. And when it sounds better, you're more motivated to keep playing. Now, I'm going to introduce to you the 3 must-have pieces of gear for a beginner. All right, you can't start rocking out without a guitar. So the guitar I've picked out right now is an Epiphone, which is part of the Gibson brand. And this is the more entry-level style guitar. So it's not going to, break the bank, but it's an amazing guitar. In fact, Epiphones have never been such a high-quality guitar than the last couple of years. They've really improved the craftsmanship in them. So they're great to learn on. They sound great. And also, come on, they look amazing. Now, I really like the SG because it's nice and lightweight. It also just looks cool. You've got some of the greatest guitar heroes who've played them. Angus Young comes to mind right off the top of the dome there. So this is the standard SG, and this color, we call this cherry. It's got nickel hardware. It's a mahogany body. It's a nice piece of wood with great tone. Also, it's got the slim tapered neck, which is based more on a 60s style guitar. And what I like about that, especially as a beginner, is it's a little easier for your hand when you're starting to form the open chords and the power chords. The neck is just a little bit, tighter around the hand. It's a little easier to start learning your face melting licks and power chords. Now these suckers here, these are the pickups, which actually are the things that produce the sound. These are the Pro Bucker humbucker pickups. And so what I love about humbuckers is it's great for rock guitar when you're playing stuff that has a little bit more crunch to it. It's got a little thicker sound, and it's just perfect for when you're wanting to, you know, play rock. So there's a great little beginner thing that I like to show people, and it's even now part of the guitar culture and memes, called 035. And there's a lot of actually kind of famous sounding riffs that you can do with O, meaning the open E string, the 3rd fret, meaning 3, and the 5th fret. And so there's all kinds of fun things you can start to do with it. All just messing around with those 3 notes. Now I can go add distortion. And what's fun about that is you can then turn it into what are called power chords, and you just add, go to this one, you can add an extra finger. So I'll add the 2nd fret A string right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and strike the 2 thickest strings. And that would be the first power chord that I would teach somebody. And it sounds like this. And what's really fun is you just move it down a string and you target the next 2 thickest strings, and now you have an A power chord, which is in a million rock songs. So you have the E power chord, which are these 2. Then you have the A power chord, which is these 2. And then one final ingredient is you can add that 3rd fret. Remember I said 035? You can add that 3rd fret on the E string just by itself as a little transition note between those 2 power chords, and it would sound like this. And you can start even messing around with your own stuff there. And now you're ready for your first band. So my second must-have piece of gear for a beginner is an amplifier. You're not going to really get very far if you can't hear the sound coming out of the guitar. So I love this one right here. I still use this today for giving lessons, and it runs on AA batteries, so I can travel with it. It's actually really loud for a tiny little amp. This is the Boss Katana-Mini. So everything you've heard so far has actually been coming out of this tiny little amp right here. You can plug it in with AC power, but it's amazing because you can put AA batteries in it, and you can, you know, play at the beach or the park or bring it around with you. I put it in a backpack. Sometimes I'm giving mobile guitar lessons and I'll bring this, and it's just super convenient, and it sounds really good. You've got 3 different channels, which are different sounds. Now you've probably heard a guitar that has what we call a clean sound. You know, nice and crisp. It's not very distorted. But if you want a little bit of chunky rhythm, you go to the next channel, which is called crunch, which is kind of the next gain stage, meaning it's a little hotter sounding, a little more overdriven is what the term we would use in music, but it's got that kind of crunchy rock sound for some cool riffs. And it would sound like this. And finally, we have the brown sound, which is a nice, fun little term, but I believe that originated from Eddie Van Halen's tone that he used to get from his amp. I think he coined that. It's just a name he came up with for the tone, the amount of distortion. So you hear that little buzz, that's actually a good thing. It means it's like really overdriven now. don't push too hard on that, especially if it's your first guitar. You want to be able to really learn on it and not break it. Now, the third piece of must-have gear for a beginner, and this is actually for all guitar players actually, but especially a beginner, is a guitar tuner. That's what this is right here. This particular tuner is a D'Addario Equinox headstock tuner. It means it just clips right on the headstock, like so. And then I strike the string, and it's going to read the frequency and tell me how in tune it is, and then I'm going to adjust it to make sure it's in tune. So I'm actually going to go flat here. So it's not in tune. And so when I strike it, it's telling me I need to keep bringing it up until there's blue lines above and below, meaning it's now in tune. Now, a little trick for tuning is if you were to go a little too sharp, meaning a little higher than the note you're going for, like that. When you're using the tuner, you don't want to actually bring it down to the two blue lines because now there's a little bit of slack on the string. You actually want to go below again and then tighten the string back up to being in tune. That'll really keep the guitar more in tune. It's a little beginner tip for you. Then I can go to each string. It'll read it. That one was in tune. That one's in tune. In tune. In tune. Boom, we're in tune. Now we're at the 3 must-have pieces of gear for the intermediate, and one of them is actually not this, but you can see I've switched. This is the Boss Katana Artist Gen 3, a great amp that's also affordable with built-in effects. It's super loud. You can play it with a band. You can play it as a professional as well, but it's just a great next stage when you're moving up the ranks as a guitar player. First off, I have a new guitar. This is a Fender Player 2 HSS Stratocaster. A little different beast than the SG. Right here we have what are called single coil pickups, and they're a lot more bell-like and a little clearer, a little cleaner sounding than the humbucker. But what's cool about the Player's HSS is that it actually in the back has a humbucker pickup, which is a little hotter, more crunchy sounding pickup. So you can still get that nice crunchy overdrive sound from it, but you also now have the addition of a more clean sounding single coil pickup. Now this color is called Candy Red Burst, and just a little personal fun fact, the first electric guitar I ever got was a candy red Strat. And I had to sell one of my acoustics because I was ready to play electric. And I had 2 acoustics. So I sold one of the acoustics and saved up a little bit of birthday money and a little work money to get my first electric guitar. So it was a little nostalgic right now. There's a lot of really fun tone variations with the Stratocaster, especially the HSS, which also has the humbucker in it. Now, if I have all these selectors here, when I go up the bridge pickup, it's just a classic sound that you wouldn't get from a Les Paul or an SG. That kind of thing. Some more chordal stuff. So you kind of hear that. I like to use the term bell or chimey, more of a chimey tone. Now, what's cool is you can go to the second and you get some of these kind of more tones for like a syncopated single note kind of R&B funk rhythm idea. You got this middle selector, which is great for strummy kind of chord. So a little more mid-range punch there. Then we've got the second to the last selector here, which has been a favorite tone position of John Mayer for the last few years. And I'm also going to introduce that second must-have piece of gear for the intermediate, and it's an overdrive pedal. Every guitar player should have an overdrive pedal, especially when you start playing with other people and you start getting a little more comfortable with playing the guitar. You're going to have that choice for playing solos, and a pedal is a great way to do that. So this is the MXR Fat Sugar overdrive pedal. It happens to be a clone of a very famous overdrive pedal. So it doesn't give you tons of hot distortion. It's a boost with a little bit of gain. And I'm going to do a little more of a sweet sounding lead. You could do something like this. But I think of it as those nice, long, beautiful, sweet sustain notes. So now we're at the third must-have piece of gear for an intermediate player. I recommend every guitar player in the entire universe needs one of these, and it is a looper pedal. I've got right now the Boss Loop Station RC1. Boss makes a lot of different types of loopers. This is the most simple, just one button press looper. And if you don't know what a looper is, it's a pedal where you can record yourself and it loops, meaning it just plays it over and over and over. And then you can practice your soloing over it. It also does a lot of other things, but that's the main function. So it's a great practice tool because instead of playing lead guitar to a backing track that you might look up, you have to create your own backing track. Now, guitar players have the most fun with lead guitar. I've seen it as a guitar teacher. Everyone wants to solo all the time, but with a looper pedal, making your own rhythm tracks forces you to become a better rhythm player to then practice your lead guitar. So you're always going to be improving both elements, rhythm and lead. Let me show you how it works. So I'm going to use this middle selector to do my rhythm loop. I'm going to record a little riff. And then when I go to lead, I'm going to go to the very back position, which will be using the humbuckers on this Strat. And then I'm going to use the Fat Sugar to play my lead over the clean loop. Check it out. Now I can also record on top of that loop and do something like this. Now we have the 3 must-have pieces of gear, advanced style. And if you see, I am playing this beautiful guitar right here. This is the Gibson ES335 60s block. Now, I love the ES335. It's kind of my personal favorite guitar. It's the kind that I've played the most over the years. If you notice right here, it's got the 2 F holes. And around here, it's hollow inside. This is called a semi-hollow because the block, 60s block, it's got a solid block of wood through the center inside here. And then on the sides, it's hollow. And what I like about a semi-hollow is when you start to really crank the amp super loud and you're using overdrive or you're playing lead guitar, you get a little bit of extra good kind of feedback and a little extra good kind of sustain. It's got its own special kind of tone. There's just a little extra magic in there that only the Semi-Hollowbody can do. And I love this guitar. It's a classic sunburst right here. And it's just gorgeous too. I also like the little bit larger size, the way it fits around my arms and my body, and it feels great. So it also sits somewhere between being able to rock out, but also get a little more jazzy. So if I use the neck pickup here, you get a little bit of that hollow body sound in there, and it's a little, you know, you can get a little warmer. Also, B.B. King was very famous for using an ES335. His Lucille guitar was a 335. All right, the second piece of advanced gear is what's called a wah pedal. It's a very cool pedal. This one particularly is the Dunlop EC95G Eric Clapton Crybaby Wah Wah pedal in gold. Now, the wah pedal made very famous by Jimi Hendrix, but a lot of different classic guitar solos. The Sweet Child of Mine guitar solo has wah at the end, and it's just a iconic sound for the guitar. I'm going to activate it by pressing down. So it's almost like a mute on a trumpet kind of effect. And basically what you're doing is you're doing the equivalent of rolling a tone control that you would normally have on the guitar, but now you're doing it with a foot pedal. And you can get lots of funky sounds. You can do it with single note soloing or with rhythm. I love it for a funk kind of rhythm. Then you also have Speaking of Eric Clapton, right here at the Hollywood Guitar Center location, they have for you to see the Eric Clapton Crossroads ES335. Come check it out. That brings us to the third piece of advanced gear for a guitar player, and that is a delay pedal. The one I'm using right now is one of my favorite pedal companies. It's Strymon. They make really high-end, amazing sounding effects. And this is the Capistan tape echo pedal, and you can get a lot of different cool textures and tones from it. I have one set up right now, but it's great for creating a new mood. Check it out. Now, delay pedal is great. Tape echo, echo, delay. There's lots of different types. I was using more of a tape delay right there, but a delay pedal is great for adding an extra element to your tone. Now, when you're a beginner, you could kind of get carried away with delay, but as you get more experienced, you can learn how to use just the right amount to add another dimension, whether it's to your rhythm or your lead guitar. And what I like to think of it is, especially different delays, you can think of David Gilmour. Think of a classic David Gilmour solo. He's always got some type of delay going on. And when you use it with the right amount, the perfect amount is that you can't even tell it's delay. There's just some extra mood in there. So it's about using it tastefully. But every guitar player, when they're ready, should start using some delay. All right, thanks for spending some time with me going through the various types of gear that you can use from beginner, intermediate to advanced. Everything I showed is stuff that I personally use myself. No matter what phase of the adventure you're on, I think the most important thing is to stay inspired. Keep learning little bits of new techniques, new nuggets of knowledge, and keep playing. If you'd like to learn more about the gear I was using in this video, you can go to guitarcenter.com. You can contact one of their expert gear advisors, or go into your local GC and try any of the gear yourself.